Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Saka here with another episode of Kerbal Space Program 1.2 Career Mode for Beginners. When we last left off, we had a 44-day wait in order to shoot out to Minmus, and we are about ready to burn here and get Bob Kerman on his way out to Minmus. It's a 75 meter a second burn, so certainly not a whole lot of change here. But we're going to slowly accelerate up and keep pointed on that maneuver node as best we can, and we'll see how our Minmus encounter sits. Right there, we are good to go. 0.4 meter difference. That is going to place us at Minmus. So without further ado, let's warp to our encounter and get ready to start doing some far away from Minmus science, and then matter of fact, we could probably circularize, do sort of like a high circularization, and then do our science. That way we're not tasked for time. 4 hours away, so we have plenty of time once we actually get in the sphere of influence to do our high above Minmus science, and then we can pull our orbit in, get nice and low around Minmus, and do our near Minmus science. And then we'll be all set to land. Here we go. We are in Minmus' sphere of influence. Let's point this guy pretty much up and down. Let's get him into the sunlight here so we can see whatever it is that we are doing. And we'll rotate the craft to where the hatch is facing the sun. And let's do our science rotation. We will log the temperature from high over Minmus. We'll keep that. We will observe the materials bay. 125 more science, keep that one. Our barometer, we'll log the pressure data, keep that one. Let's open up our capsule goo canister. 50 more science. We will do a crew report for 25 more science, and then we will EVA out Bob Kerman for 40 more science. All right, let's get to collecting this data here. Collect the data on the canister and restore that experiment. I think we can get low enough to, yeah, we can collect the materials bay data and restore the materials bay back to normal. And we don't have enough oomph to get the thermometer and the barometer. We'll have to float up to it ever so carefully. We'll take that data there. We'll move to the barometer. We'll take that data there. All right, let's get on the ladder. Take all the data and store everything we got. And now we are ready to get into a close encounter with Minmus, which looks to be our apoapsis is here at 57. If we were to say, what would we like to do here? We will add a maneuver. We'll point it up so we can sort of get an equatorial orbit here, and then we will bring our orbit in just a smidget. Don't want to go too aggressive. 14 should be good enough. That is only a 6.7 meter per second burn, and we still have this whole stage. So I'm thinking this stage right here, this second stage, will be good enough to circularize, and then we can use the lander and everything it's got on it to land us down safely and return us home. Let's just go ahead and do that. Just a small minor course correction and cut it. And I believe we will be good. Yep, 14,000 meters. We'll go ahead and get an orbit around Minmus. That should be more than enough altitude to ensure that we have close to Minmus science, and should expend that second stage. So a 16 by 14 should be good, 130 meters per second, and that is a 4-second burn. Too easy, Captain, too easy. There is Minmus right there floating. You sort of can't see it behind the sun, or staring directly into the sun. Looks like we need the don't stare directly into the sun eagle reference. warping on in to a minute out. Minmus will be growing much, much larger in our point of view. Here she comes, nice and bumpy. And here we go. We'll be passing over the top here. We only need a 4-second burn, so 2 seconds is where we are going to aim here. Right over the top of these dry lake beds, which is perfect for us as far as landing is concerned. Its altitude is near 0 meters and pretty flat, I must say. All right, here we go. 1001, 1002, bringing us into orbit and cut the throttle. Where does that put us in the grand scheme of things? A 17 by 14 is good enough for government work. Let's go ahead and focus on our next rotation of science. Let's pointer directly up top so we can see what we are doing here in the sun. Very important for YouTube and its pitch black darkness rendering that it likes to do. Rotate the craft. And now let's do our science rotation. Temperature from near Minmus, 64 more science. Observing the materials bay for 200 more science. Ahem. The pressure data for 96 more science. We are going to be rich when we get back. Let's do a crew report here. 40 more science. EVA here. 64 more science, and that was over Minmus's slopes. So as we rotate, if we wanted to milk this thing for as much as we could EVA report over different biomes of Minmus to be even more effective. We'll collect that data, remove the data, and restore the experiment. Same rotation as per usual. We will collect all data, restore all the experiments for maximum effectiveness. Just hop off the ladder here so we can go up and grab the thermometer data and take that data and our barometer. Here we go. We'll take that data and then we'll get back to the ladder, take our crew report, take all the data and store all 23 experiments on board. And now we need to pick a landing place, which, I mean, technically, I feel like Neil deGrasse Tyson. Actually, yeah, we can land right now. I mean, why not? And I think no matter what, I'm going to eject this stage here because we don't want to be landing on this big part here. But we can land on this, and this has more than enough fuel to get us to where we would like to go. Let's go more retrograde here. Just a smidgen. All right, we are going to be coming down now on that, in these planes here, which is great for us. I think what I would like to do is we'll time warp just a bit until we get our orbit to surface mode. And then we will just kill off our velocity with this big old rocket. And then dump it. So our landing stage will just be that bottom section there. All right, let's line it up. It's a little bit difficult. Jebediah, if he was on here, he could essentially go retrograde and hold it there. All right, 9 meters a second. That's good. I think we're going to be falling straight down now. We essentially killed off our lateral speed. Let's just push that retrograde marker right over the top, like that. And now we are falling straight down. We've killed all of our speed. And we're going to be picking up more speed. We're coming straight down here. We have plenty of sunlight and plenty of charge, so we don't have to worry about our command capsule running out of the juice. All right, down we go. We're going to pick up some speed here, but no worries. 3,000 meters up. We've gone to regular old time acceleration. We can't warp any faster than that. There's our shadow. Let's just burn. Using everything we possibly can here to use up as much fuel as we can. You know, save as much from this section as we can. Even though we don't need it, we'd still like to have as much fuel as possible to get back home with. All right, slow her back down. Give her a little bit more juice. And this engine is about to go out. Yeah, this thing is going to drop on the surface, and it's not going to be a very big impact, if I have to say so myself. We may actually land on our debris, which I guess would be fine. How much fuel do we have in this stage? 188 left in the stage. Nope, stage view. Yeah, only 0.9 units of fuel. 7. Let's just use her up. We can see our shadow here. We'll kill our lateral velocity just a touch. Coming straight down now. 2 units of fuel left. I think we could technically ditch it now. That's me being frugal, using everything that we can. Are we going to be good? Here we go. It's going to use the fuel up. As soon as this goes away, we'll stage. And there we go. That stage is going to fall down, smash into the ground, and we'll have a little bit of a marker to gauge our approach on. Oh, this thing is a little touchy now that it is a much smaller spacecraft. Here we go, kill the throttle. We've got a little bit of orbital momentum. Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. Easy. Easy does it. Just sort of letting the rocket sit on its natural top. Just keep her pointed straight up. I'm not looking at the rocket at all. I'm just using the nav ball to adjust its pitch here. And there we go. It has settled down nicely. Let's go ahead and do our experiments. Observe the materials bay from the Great Flats, another 250 science. Let's log the temperature from the Great Flats. We're sort of weeble wobbling, but we're not falling down. Log the data. Let's do the goo canister. And I won't pick up this science here on the surface, because I don't want this thing falling over. Let's keep that experiment. EVA, and hopefully he doesn't pull the rocket off. Take an EVA report, and can we get a surface sample? 300 science. Excellent. I think what we would like to do here is just, we'll head back to the Space Center here while we are landed. And then what we will do is we will see if there are any contracts available while we're here to bring something back from Minmus. Orbit of Minmus, rescue. Unfortunately, no, and we don't have enough capsule space to bring anyone back. I think this will be our next goal, next episode, positioning the satellite. We can't do anything there, so let's get back to our landed spacecraft. And I believe, I mean, we could be cheeky and hop over to another biome, but let's just leave it be. We have plenty of science to bring back, and I don't want to screw this up. So let's go ahead and give her a little throttle, point to the 90, and get out of here as best we can. We're gaining altitude here. Let's look at our apoaps. We want it to climb. Let's just keep her on the 45 here. Gain some altitude. Gain some speed. Keep her right on that marker, and then once we hit about 10,000 meters or so, we'll cut it. And then we'll work on our return trip home and bringing back all of this wonderful science. I mean, we could practically max out the tech tree from what we have done. Let's just go up to 15 to be indubitably sure. Just like that. Now, we could be cheeky. No, we took off the wrong way. If we took off from this side, we could just burn on around, but unfortunately, we were on the wrong side to do that. We'll just circularize and get into a nice stable orbit while we are here, and then plot our way home. And then we are back into orbital view. We will time accelerate up to our 5-minute marker, and we will give her the beams. 2 minutes out, 1 minute out. We want to see about 2 seconds on the T- node here. Full power. Circularize. And cut it. That little camera shake means we have indeed circularized. 15 and 19, we're not going to come back to the surface. And now, let's just plot our return home. We will fire on this side. And remember, we are slowing ourselves down relative to Minmus's orbit. So while Minmus is moving around this way, if we want to get home, we want to fall this way. Which means we are actually going to accelerate, but we are accelerating backwards. There we go. We leave Minmus's sphere of influence. We will sort of fine-tune this to be a more adequate approach. Point it right along that retro, right along the orbit. That brings us down to 9. We'll speed up some more. And point it along the orbit here. That brings us down to 4. Just minor adjustments here. More speed along the 1 million meters there. A little bit more speed. 1 point. Whoa, okay. Whatever you do, do not scrub your mouse wheel over one of these nodes or bad times will happen. Alright, I think that's about zeroed out there. A little bit more speed. 588,000. Let's just push this in just a touch. 408. And then, see, that's me doing it again. Yeah, adjusting our timing though. We'll drop that down. Well, 1 million. Terrible timing. 800. Let's just bring this in just a smidge. 181,000. That actually hits the surface. What we're aiming for is about 30, I would say. And we can fine-tune from here. I mean, it's no big deal. 157, 11. Him. 57. We can work with that. That's close enough. That'll be an 11-second burn in 32 minutes. Let's just warp to the next maneuver, if we can see it. Here we go. Coming around the backside of the moon. Now, we didn't plan a flag because there was no reason to, essentially. It doesn't net you any science, and there was no contract to do that. We did get a world first, though, and performed a spacewalk, suborbital, landed, and walked on the surface of Minmus. So we have fulfilled all of those world firsts, got a bunch of extra moolah. We're going to be so rich when we get back. It's going to be crazy sauce. All right, aiming for 5 seconds here. Full power. Leaving Minmus behind. Plenty of fuel to get it done. There we go. We've left Minmus. Following that marker, and then we will cut and see how that does us. Ultimately, we've got an 80,000 meter approach, which is fine. We can adjust and do some fine tuning. Say goodbye to Minmus. We will probably return, I would say, eventually, whenever the contract fits us well. The satellite contract should be pretty good. We also have to work on getting our relay satellites up for when we go further out with probes. We need a way to talk back home. There we go. We have escaped Minmus now. And now we just go retrograde just a touch. We can actually, since we're pretty slow on our orbit, we can adjust our pitch here. And let's see, set as the moon target. We're 15 degrees off. We could bring that down, I assume, 8.8. Yeah, 6.3, 7.3. We can get it fairly close. We're not right on the ascending and descending node, so we can come in more flat around Kerbin. Just 12 meters a second to do that change. Ideally, we want to try to land at Kerbal Space Center or pretty close to it. So that's why I'm doing this fine tuning now. While we're only moving 58 meters a second, it doesn't take a whole lot of fuel to change that perspective. Now what we could do is when we get here to this descending node, we can do some more fine tuning. And since we are not in the since we're not going to hit the atmosphere, that would probably be best for us. We're descending, so we want to add a maneuver here and ascend, so we can bring that node and flip-flop it. Just like that, we can get down to 0.2. So because the moon is going right on the same plane as the Kerbal Space Center, that can be our marker in order to line up on the planet with the Space Center. Where is Kerbin? There is Kerbin, and there's the moon. See how we're sort of dropping down into the plane of the moon? It's going to be just a 10-second burn to get ourselves straight, and all will be well. We'll be essentially lined up. Then we can pick and choose our approach time. 8, 7, 6, and 5. Full power, adjusting our inclination just a touch. Using all of that fuel. I mean, we might as well. We brought it. 1.7 meters a second. All right, 0.0. We hit that maneuver right on the nose, so we are lined up essentially with the moon. And now it's just a matter of coming back down. And you know what? Can we do it? Can we add a maneuver to slow right down here and fall into Kerbin? I think we want to do that. Because if we can hit this right, the Space Center is rounding the daylight side. That will be excellent for us. A 58-second burn. I believe we have enough fuel to do that. If we do not, I will cut the I'll cut the thrust wherever we are, and then I will just burn at our apoaps to drop back in on this side. That's my plan. That's my goal. That's what I want to do. All right, so 58 seconds. We need 29 seconds of burn on both sides of the node. Here we go. 29. Let's go for broke. Let's slow right down, and let's watch our fuel storage. We don't want this thing running out of fuel on us. Looks like we still have plenty, and the lighter this spacecraft gets when it burns more fuel, the more effective our slowdown will be. We might be cutting this a tad close. If not, we're slowing right down, and we can just go up to our apoaps and drop our apoaps down. Now let's not forget to grab our science. I almost just dropped right into the atmosphere, and that would have been pretty terrible stuff. All right, let's bring our throttle right down. All right, here we go. All right, 1 meter a second. We have plenty of fuel to slow down with. Now, while we are on the light side here, let us point straight up, and we'll rotate the craft so we can see what we are doing here. Ahem. This small spacecraft is very, very touchy. Here we go. All right, so let's EVA and grab hold of our science, just in case it doesn't survive. We will remove that data. We will collect this data. We don't need to worry about restoring it. Let's just close the doors. I believe these are physics-less parts, the doors are, so we don't need to worry about having that be affected in the airflow. All right, here we go. We'll come up, nice and gentle-like, grab our thermometer data and our barometer data, and we will be ready to call this a pretty successful mission. All right, here we go. And because we're not going to do another crew report, well, we may. We may actually land somewhere where we haven't been yet. Possibly not, but we'll take all the data and then store all the data, board it, and now let's see where we are in the grand scheme of things as related to the Space Center. I believe if we were to add a maneuver and slow down to about there, we are going to be in like a dirty shirt. If anything, we might not be bang on, but we are going to be close enough that the return should be pretty decent on our pod. So we're looking for a 9-second burn here on either side of the node. Make sure that we are up to date. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Let's go. And this will be our final burn before we get home. We will see if we will be low and slow enough to get that data, fulfill those contracts there. All right, cut it. We are coming down now, and I believe we are ready to pop this fuel stage. We got all of our science off, yes? All right. Here we go, popping the segment, and now we are free and clear. Essentially what I want to do is, because he can't hold it retrograde, I want to get it as retrograde as I can, and then time accelerate down into the surface, and then the pod will do most of the flying itself. So here we go, time accelerating, we're going to drop down. Looks like we're going to fly over the Space Center. Unfortunately, we didn't slow down enough. But let's get her right on the retrograde as best we can, and then the capsule will automatically start to point retrograde here. I'm hoping. There goes the Space Center. We overshot it by quite a bit, unfortunately, but we're good. We're coming down. We'll be light and slow enough to be okay. Here we go. We're going to start dipping into the atmosphere, and now I am off the controls. It's going to point retrograde naturally, and let's see. We have another world first. Escape the gravitational influence of Minmus for more money. Let's bring up these contracts here, and this contract will be fulfilled whenever we get back, and then maybe, just maybe, these will be fulfilled whenever we come back. So we're just skimming the atmosphere, we're losing the speed, there goes the Space Center right there, and we're really starting to slow down now. We're starting to get into the light atmosphere. It is not safe to pop the parachute. My fingers are nowhere near my space bar, because if Bob were to die now, that would be a terrible shame. I don't want to see Bob dead, especially after being a near hero here. Yeah, I believe we're going to be okay. We're at 1,600 meters a second, and we're not even to the medium thickness of the atmosphere. We're starting to climb on the G-forces, though. It's about 5 Gs or thereabouts. But yeah, we've slowed right down. We're falling into the atmosphere now. We are hauling the parachute in, and then we want to test the parachute when these are all checked, when these are all good to go. So hopefully we will slow down in this. I think the speed is going to be the biggest issue. But we'll drop here within 5,000 to 10,000. We're good. If we just slow down to 250, we can test this parachute. I'll get it ready. As soon as I see that 4th check mark. Come on, slow down. Yeah, we fell too quickly. We didn't slow down enough and we fell through. And our surface speed is much too quick for it to do anything with. At about 3,000 meters, I'm going to pop the chutes here, and we will be down safe and sound. Slowing down, 3,500. Why not? The chutes deploy. We start slowing down massively, and then the chutes will open, and we will be able to recover the vessel and get home. Let's jettison the heat shield. Make us a little bit lighter. We're sort of pushing the heat shield down, but there goes the heat shield. I guess we could have brought it back for money, but I wanted to be absolutely sure that we were going to make it down okay. We'll go 4 times time acceleration all the way down to the surface, and yeah, our Explore the Moon contract will be done whenever we land, and we'll see what new contracts it gives us in the next episode. I'm guessing the satellite will be a logical next step, but I'll call it an episode whenever we touch down. I mean, while we're at it, I'll look at the mystery goo to see if we can bring back any more science while we're here. But I believe Kerbin's Oceans has already been done, except the soil sample. I believe we can actually get a surface sample from the water to milk just that little bit more of science that we so want and desire. A 63-day mission, and 44 of it was actually waiting for the transfer orbit to Minmus. So overall, not bad. Not a long time in the pod. Here we go, 30 meters. We'll just watch it set down nice and easily. 10 seconds away till touchdown. And here we are. Nice and easy, real gentle. Let's observe the goo. Yeah, we get 8 more science from it, so we will keep that experiment. We will do a crew report, which is pointless. We will EVA out into the water. We'll do an EVA report, which is pointless, and then take our surface sample of the water. 24 more science before we leave. Let's recover. A very successful day here. How much science did we bring back? It's got to calculate it all. 2,551 science. Just from flying out by the moon, landing on Minmus, resetting our goo canisters and containers, we dominated. We got 2,000 funds for parts, 89% of the value, not bad. Bob, he's freaking level 2 now. This massive reputation. We are going to spend like crazy in the next episode, but thank you so much for watching. This has been Saka. Like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold, and I will see you in the next Kerbal Space Program video. Take care.